Hello friends, this video is about the latest amendments on Marpol and Solas. I will start with the Marpol and I'll discuss the latest amendments coming as per the Annex. Maximum number of amendments have come in Annex 6. So let's go sequentially for Annex 6 so that you can remember as much as possible. So the story began on 1st March 2018 when the IMO thought there is a lot of fuel oil consumption and sulfur emission is a lot. So let's start collecting the data. So this was the amendment to Annex 6 when data collection system for fuel oil for consumption of ships for vessels more than 5,000 gross tonnage and above started. So data collection has begun. And from the time they have started collecting the data, basically from the time the idea was conceived to when the baby was born on 1st of January 2019, two new amendments came into existence for Annex 6. So because data was collected for the fuel, so on 1st January 2019 there was a revised amendment for the requirement of BDN. As per that, every BDN must specify purchased specific limit value of sulfur content into the BDN. Second amendment that came on 1st January 2019 was inclusion of Baltic Sea and North Sea into the ICA NOx area, and new ships were required to have Tier 3 engines from this point onwards. Then again, two amendments came on 1st January 2020. First was the global sulfur limit was reduced to 0.5% mass by mass, and second is now we require a EEDI, Energy Efficiency Design Index, in relation to Ro-Ro cargo and Ro-Ro passenger ships for Phase 2 EEDI reference line. Phase 3 EEDI will be applicable from 1st January 2025, and EEDI is basically developed to help control CO2 emission from shipping. EEDI basically reflects the amount of CO2 generated per mile. Next amendment which is coming on Annex 6 and also on Annex 1, 2 and 5 is from 1st of October 2020, use of electronic record books will be allowed. Basically for oil record book for Annex 1, cargo record book for Annex 2, garbage record book for Annex 5, and recording of Annex 6 data will be done in the electronic record books. Next amendment I'm going to discuss, which has come in Annex 4, is from 1st June 2019, special area for Annex 4 has been set up for sewage only for passenger ships, and the area is Baltic Sea. For existing ships, it will be applicable from 1st June 2021. And that was the Marpol amendments. Let's talk about the Solas amendments now. There was a Solas amendment in Chapter 3, Part 1 for the on-load release and retrieval system to be fitted not later than 1st of July 2019, and the window period started from 1st July 2014. All passenger ships must have the RRS, and other ships greater than 500 gross tonnage must be fitted with RRS before 1st July 2019. Next amendment in Solas Chapter 2, Part 2, Regulation 10.4. From 1st of July 2014 to 1st of July 2019, first SEQ survey during this time, all ships must have a communication equipment designated for the firefighting team, at least two-way portable RT apparatus for each fire party. The radios must be explosion proof and intrinsically safe. Another amendment again from Solas Chapter 2 Part 2, Regulation 10.10.1, Audible alarm device to notify low air pressure in Scaba. And this supposed to happen from 1st July 2014 to 1st July 2019. Another amendment in Chapter 2, Regulation 3.56, definition of vehicle carrier is unclear. So pure deck and car carrier is agreed and will be complied with from 1st January 2020. Next one from Solas Chapter 2, Part 2, Regulation 10.5. The 135 liter foam extinguisher is not required for boiler that is protected by a fixed local water-based firefighting system. Another one from Solas Chapter 2 Part 2 Regulation 18.5, and this is also an amendment for FSS Code Chapter 17. From 1st January 2020, a new para to Solas Chapter 2 Part 2 Regulation 18.5. There is a new requirement to have a foam application system for the protection of helideck and helicopter area. So far I've discussed amendments for Chapter 3 and Solas Chapter 2 Part 2. Now I'll start with Solas Chapter 2 Part 1, all the amendments. Solas Chapter 2 Part 1 Regulation 1, computerized stability support system for the masters in case of flooding for passenger ships. A computer should be able to carry out the damage stability. Next amendment from Solas Chapter 2 Part 1 Regulation 3.12, application of the code on noise level on board ships would come into force from 1st January 2020. Next amendment in Solas Chapter 2 Part 1, which will be in force from 1st January 2020, amendment to damage stability requirements. For example, permitting of butterfly valve at the collision bulkhead on cargo ships, testing of watertight hatches, and removing the possibility of leaving the watertight doors open. These are the few things which have come as an amendment to damage stability. Next amendment from Solas Chapter 2 Part 1 is also a amendment from Solas Chapter 3 Regulation 30 and Chapter 3 Regulation 37, which is a requirement for damage control drill on passenger ships. These damage control drills are mandatory on passenger ships from 1st January 2020. Next Solas amendment which has come from 1st January 2020 is from Chapter 4 Radio Communication. So far in Solas Chapter 4, Inmarsat was considered as the GMDSS satellite service provider. Now this has been replaced by a generic term, and the new term which is replacing the old Inmarsat term is Additional Mobile Satellite Service System Provider. Next amendment in force from 1st January 2020 is Solas Form ECP to include Multi-System Shipboard Radio Navigation Receiver MSSRR. It will allow the combined use of current and future navigational system as well as augmentation of system for provision of position, navigation and timing data, also called the PNT data, within the maritime navigational system. Thus all forms to be amended. Forms ECP. I hope you liked this video and the sequence was easy to remember. For the amendments on various codes and other important conventions, please find the link in the description of this video. I would love to have your feedback through the comments. Thank you for watching.